This video is only part of an unpaid, unbiased, in-depth review from an average rider's perspective, so check out the rest in the link below at thegoodride.com. If you want real advice, fill out the Me Harmony profile in the link below so I can help you properly. And if this video helps, please consider donating or buying through our links. Thanks for watching. Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and what you see here is a Capita all-mountain sampler, but I'm mainly going to be talking about the Mega Mercury. Next to it is the Mercury, the Indoor Survival, and the Black Snowboard of Death. I got this with Union Atlas Pro, Burton Kendos, and I did ride my 32 TM3 XDs. On many occasions, I compared the Mega Merc to the Merc. Same day, same bindings, Union Atlas again, same boots, and also compared it against the Indoor Survival and the Black Snowboard of Death, as well as some other all-mountain boards like my Yes Basic Unink, a Good Ride favorite, and the Yes Standard Unink, a new board for 2023 and a very fun board as well. I got this in a wide variety of conditions, everything from some really good groomers and Mammoth that were a little messy but good. Then the next day, firm but fair, clean, pristine, and fun groomers. Then back at home at Mount Bachelor, I got it in some decent powder, not too deep, but still very fun. But I've also had the Mercury in all kinds of powder, so I didn't really stress test this in powder. I know what it does. Now, to give you a short summary, the Mega Merc is basically the Mercury with a completely different type of construction. It's lighter, it's poppier, it rides centered really well. You can set it back a little bit and get some directional float. It's very forgiving, especially compared to the Black Snowboard of Death and Indoor Survival next to it, because it has more rocker in the nose and tail. But both of them are a touch on the bucky and bouncy side when conditions get uneven. But other than that, they're really fun, well-built one-board quivers. And if you want more pop than the regular Mercury, and if you want a little stiffer flex, a little faster bass, then you have the Mega Merc. So when it comes to sizing, I think the 55 would be better for my boot size, but the 57's better for my weight, but still very fun. There is one thing to mention. There is a death grip right dead center in the board with all these boards. So they seem to be wider than they are overall. So just subtract a few millimeters and that would probably be a more accurate depiction of the waist width. And check the nose and tail and make sure you're getting the right size for your boot size and your weight based on that. Now, when it comes to shape, this is like almost a twin. It's very close, like I'd almost call it a directional twin. It's maybe just a touch off from there, but overall it feels great, it feels very centered. You ride this almost like you would a true twin. You can weight your feet anywhere off the front, off the middle, off the back. It's just got a nice consistent feel, one footing and flat basing. It's stable, it's forgiving. You can get off your game and skid a turn very easy, but it doesn't have that auto spinny loose feel. In comparison to the boards next to it, the Black Snowboard of Death and the Indoor Survival, they're much more technical, much more locked in, much more unforgiving when you skid a turn. So these have a great personality underfoot, but it still has that nice, stable feel underfoot when one footing and flat basing. Now, let's talk flex. This is much stiffer. Just picking it up too, you can feel how it's lighter. But you can see there is a pretty stiff flex right between the feet here. It's like almost stiff. Then in the nose, it's kind of medium stiff to maybe a touch medium, and same in the tail. But what's interesting is when you flex this, it just has this interesting dynamic feel where when you flex it, you can just feel it pop back. And it's the most poppy of the two Mercuries and just really feels just like has a snap to it. In comparison to the Mercury, same kind of flex. This almost feels a little stiffer, but it's not. What it is just when you push in, it doesn't give back as fast. It doesn't have that dynamic pop. But overall, it's a pretty similar flex. And for fun, here's the indoor survival. A little softer overall, but still a very medium flex. And the black Snowboard of Death, stiffer than all of them. But back to the Mega Merc, this thing has pop. It has a lively feel. It's definitely more poppy than the Mercury. I'd just say with this mellower camber profile versus these more augmented camber profiles or different camber profiles like the black Snowboard of Death with the flat in the tail, it just pops a little more than these guys. And the indoor survival is, for me and for Davey, the pop winner. That one just popped the easiest and had the most pop out of all these boards, which was surprising. But the Mega Merc really does pop well for a board with camber just a little bit past the bindings. It's got some snap to it. And it's pretty easy to butter. It's not amazingly easy, but I think that just rocker in the tip and tail just helps you get a little more leverage into the board. So even though it's a little stiffer in studio here on snow, it buttered pretty well. And I think this flex personality, it's great to have all this pop, that light poppy kind of board. It's got a little chatter absorption. I like Capita's boards for 2023 better than I did the past few years. They seem to be a little more bucky and bouncy, and they seem to have reduced that a little bit this year with the new construction. They're always tweaking the core profiles and construction to kind of change the flex personality, and I like what they're doing this year a little bit better than past. Now, when it comes to speed and base glide, yeah, this thing can point it, especially in good conditions. It's got a really fast base. I felt like it had great base glide. One thing though is this demo model had a lot of structure in the base, and sometimes in certain snow conditions that can grab too much, and it made it hard for me to turn. So when I got this, this was probably my least favorite to go out and demo because sometimes it just wouldn't let me turn when I wanted to turn. And I think that's just too much structure. Most likely the production model will have less structure, but overall, incredibly fast base, good glide. And when you get it in wet spring conditions with the structure, it's gonna be great. It's so much better than a smooth base, which just actually like stops you. It sucks up and stops you. This will channel the water through and let you keep going. Now, when it comes to edge hold, love the death grip. Love the death grip on all these guys. It's nice to see the death grip throughout the line. I think it adds edge hold, and I felt like in all conditions, I think this is a pretty good grippy board without grabbing much or at all in softer snow. Now, when it comes to turn initiation, this Mega Merc is pretty medium-ish for me, but as it stands, it's not bad. I like pairing up more responsive bindings with the Mercury usually, and the same goes for the Mega Merc. But when you get it on edge, it's a very balanced side cut that's fun to do just about any kind of turn. Carving is a little better than the regular Merc, but it didn't do as well as the Indoor Survival or the BSOD. Surprisingly enough, the Indoor Survival was my favorite board to carve out of all these, regular and switch. The BSOD, a very close second, and then these were a distant third. They're just like maybe this third and this fourth, but they were just not as satisfying out of a turn, and that's because of that hybrid camber with a lot of rocker in the nose and tail, but they're more forgiving and they're better riding centered in powder. So it's a trade-off, but overall, I thought it was a pretty satisfying turn and fun to carve. Now, when it comes to powder, you don't have much setback on board. Both the Mercury and Mega Mercury are the same in terms of float. You might do a little better with the Mega Merc because of its faster base with a long flat out, because you're usually off piste and there's usually some sort of traverse to get there or get back, and having a faster base is great for that. But overall, the float's the same. And like I said, with the extra rocker in the nose and tail, if you just want to keep this centered, This ride's really well centered in powder. Setback, I thought the Black Snowboard of Death did a lot better. I thought the Navigator did a lot better. And I thought my Yes Basic on Ink did better. That's a true twin, but it has massive setback inserts when it comes to directional float. So it just, you know, it's good, but not amazing. Great for a one-board quiver. Now, when it comes to switch riding, other than the indoor survival, this just felt great. The Mega Merc and Mercury both ride switch really well. They're both good park boards. I would say the Mega Merc is not really a great jibber, but pretty good for jumps. The Mercury is a little better at jibbing, but not by much. I think you want a different board overall for jibbing than all these guys here. These are more pipe, jump, but all of them ride switch really well, and Capita always makes sure their boards are good in the park. So overall, I think the Mega Merc is a fun, poppy, light, energetic ride.